Welcome to the Prophecy Club. I want to keep talking about this tribulation dream that Maurice Sklar had. Yes, I know I talked about it with Maurice, but there's some other things in here. I think this is really, 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 really important. And I also have to say, if you have not got the meteor offer, if you have not heard Ephraim Rodriguez go through, and because if you just read what we put on the internet, then you probably got, I don't know, maybe a tenth of it. Because what he said in the DVD had more to do with America. It was a lot of new information that was not necessarily in his testimony. And it fits together with this. I mean, guys, I have to say, and I'm about to call a massive fasting and prayer because we have absolutely got to stop America from splitting Israel or it's over. I mean, our life as we know it is over if we don't get together on this. So let's go to the dream. Now, again, he was given this March 15th, and he said, I'm going to read it, and I'm going to just comment, okay? I know you've already heard him read it, but we need to go through it again. He says, this week I had a dream. It was a terribly frightening dream. I saw a huge angel standing suspended in the air over New York Harbor. It looked so large that it covered the night sky. His body was clad in golden armor, as if he was going to war. His face and entire being were so bright that I could not gaze up at him for long. Now, you remember in Revelation, it talks about an angel clothed with the sun. Well, this angel is similar, it might even be the same angel. White beams of light seemed to radiate outward from him in all directions. He was standing over the Statue of Liberty. It was at night, but I could hardly see the lights around him coming from New York City as he blazed so brightly with divine light. He reached for his belt that was covered with a red sash around his midsection and drew out his sword. It was massive. It blazed with light and fire all around it. It looked at least 100 feet long. All right, now, hold on. A couple of things I got to say. Look, guys, I don't know if you've able to discern the word of the Lord here, but this is the word of the Lord. When somebody says they have an angel come to them like this is on the caliber of Revelation. This is on the caliber of John the Revelator and what he saw and wrote. The only difference is one took place in 96 AD, one took place in 2014 AD, but this is on the same caliber. When they're talking about an angel with white beams of light radiating out of him, when we're talking about an angel carrying a sword at least 100 foot long, that's big. Okay, this is God. Now, talking about the sword about 100 foot long, I remember in one of the other prophets that also said he saw that America was split. He said, I saw a large angel with a very long sword, and he said he ran this sword in the middle of the map of America and said, you split my land, now I will split yours. Okay, so this is a real big, bad warning for America, and we better be listening. Now, back to the dream. I've never felt such fear when I saw an angel before. I just knew this mighty warring spirit had authority from the very throne of God. He had a grim expression as he held his mighty sword over his head with both hands. I could see that he was poised to hit the Statue of Liberty and cleave it in two. All right? Notice it says cleave it in two. That's the same thing that now, by the way, the count is up to 9 people. I have 9 people that say that the reason the meteor comes, the reason the tsunami and the split of America and the fall of the West Coast into the ocean comes is because America splits Israel. I have 9 credible people. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. So what do you do when you got 9 people saying the same thing? I mean, somebody got to step up here and realize this is not foolishness, guys. This is God talking, and we better be listening. I could see that he was poised to hit the Statue of Liberty and cleave it in two. And by the way, that cleave it in two, in other words, he's talking about he's poised, ready to split America in two. I think that asteroid, it is out there. Now, I don't know if it's on exact collision course with America right now, but if there's not one already heading this way, as powerful as God is that made the heavens and the earth, and he's threw the stars in place with his finger, and called them by name. If there's not one heading this way, he can make one head this way any time he wants. Now, back to what I'm saying. I trembled and tried to hide, but the angel was looking directly at me, and I knew that there was nowhere to go that he would not see me. Then he spoke. His voice was like thunder. Well, you can look up in the Bible. There's a lot of places where it talks about when God spoke or when angels spoke, it sounded like thunder and echoed through the whole harbor. He said, now listen. He said, how long will you refuse to humble yourself, O America? You have been weighed in the balances of God and found wanting. Your beginning was great and noble, but your end shall be disgrace and destruction. You see, you try to talk to the average person out there about Jesus, try to invite someone to go to church. Nah, they got too much. They're too busy. They're doing this, doing that. God's not first with them. They don't need God. They're doing all right. They got plenty of money. They got food. They got a dry bed. They don't need God. Okay, and that's their attitude. And that's pride. But God is about to humble the pride of this nation. When it says weighed in the balances, that's the same thing that God said through Daniel. When the handwriting was on the wall, he said to Nebuchadnezzar, you've been weighed in the balances and found wanting. In other words, America is doing more evil than she is doing good. Back to the dream. Thus saith the Lord God of heaven's armies, the Lord of hosts, time is running out. Now, let me read that again. Time is running out. Let me read it again. Time is running out. You see, I want to believe that America was going to fall like on about or around or shortly after 2020, but, this is new stuff. I mean, now all of a sudden we're threatening to split Israel. We split Israel, and it's over. It's done. Stick a fork in us. We're finished. Thus saith the Lord of heaven's armies, the Lord of hosts, time is running out. The bowls of my wrath are full of my fury and judgment. They shall be poured out upon you. You shall drink them down to the dregs, every drop. Now we know that Israel will be split because Joel 3:2 says they parted my land. Okay, it has to happen. Also, Prophet Leslie was told by the audible voice of God they will give the Palestinians a state. All right, so we know it's going to happen, but it doesn't have to happen this year. Hopefully not this decade. Hopefully it's not for another 10 or 20 or 30 years off. And that's what I'm doing. I'm asking you to join our fast track team. And here's the way you do. You go to prophecyclub.com and you join the fast track team and you fast with us once each week. And what I'm going to start doing, starting this next week, I'm going to be asking everyone to fast and pray that we do not cause Israel to split. We do not split Jerusalem, that we just basically go hands off on that whole idea, and that we begin to bless Israel, because the Bible says, I will bless them that bless you and curse them that curse you. Now, let's continue with the word. You shall drink them down to the dregs, every drop. I have come to you day and night, pleading with you to return to me, now for over 100 years. I am merciful and long-suffering, and it brings me no joy to judge you. But you have hardened your hearts, scoffed at my warnings through my prophets and my holy servants. Now, let me say something about that. I think I've earned the right to say something about that, because since 1988, when I first ran across Dimitri Duduman's message, I've been doing the very best I can to get it out. And I would love to tell you that I've had many people come to me and say, oh, this is really of God. Brother Stan, how can I help you get on more radio and TV stations so you can tell more people about this warning? I would love to be able to tell you I've had people call and say, here, let me send you $1 million or a $2 or a $3 million donation. How can I help you get on more radio and TV? Hey, I would like to be able to say I have hundreds and hundreds of people. I would like to be able to say I have thousands and thousands of people that simply say, Stan, I'll stand with you for a $20 donation every month. Okay, so how we doing? Oh, I think we're like about 3 months behind in paying our staff now. Just got an email from my agent saying I need to make another payment for radio. It's really tight around here. In other words, America that is responsible to get the warning out to their other brothers and sisters have consumed it themselves. They heard the warning. or maybe they didn't, but the ones that did hear the warning, they heard it, but they didn't do anything about helping other people hear it. Oh, yeah, maybe they copy a DVD, which only hurts our ministry because we don't get the money so we can reach more people. They think, oh, that's the way to do it. We're going to give away DVDs. That way you don't have to send that money to that ministry. And I think God is not real happy with that because that's the way that ministry is continuing, and they are cutting the throat of that ministry. Same thing with putting it on the internet. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, a lot of people can hear about it on the internet. Yeah, well, like, for example, I won't even go there. Let me just, it's not right. Let's go on. It brings me no joy to judge you, but you have hardened your hearts, scoffed at my warnings through my prophets and my holy servants. I brought you from nothing and exalted you, O America, higher than any other nation. But now you have fallen lower than Sodom. You have sinned greater than Egypt. You have become prouder than Babylon and Persia. You have become more selfish than Rome. You have exalted yourself in your own wisdom higher than Greece. You have more idols and high places of idolatry and luxury than any Gentile kingdom in history. Your beginning was pure and great, but now the stench of your skin and filth fills my nostrils. I shall cut you in pieces, and you shall reap the harvest of the wrath for what you have sown. You shall no longer be the queen of nations. Now you shall bear your shame and become the lowest of the heathen nations. Now as Agag. We'll be right back after this message. How can I possibly begin to tell you what you really need to know about the last days? We have so many DVDs at the Prophecy Club, but this particular DVD is a must-have. It's called Revelations for the Midnight Hour by Maurice Sklar, and he covers 10 visions. These aren't just dreams, brothers and sisters. These are visions. And the 10 visions are the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the 6 Babylons, the vision of the mantle of Elijah, the vision of the 10 lamps, the vision of the Victorian mansion, the vision of the wedding supper, the closing of the gates, 3 wars of Israel, preparation of the bride, and the vision of heaven. All 10 of them, one DVD, valued at $30. We're making it available today for a gift of just $15. Call 785-266-1112 or go to prophecyclub.com. 785-266-1112, Visions for the Midnight Hour by Maurice Sklar. You must get these 2 DVDs. Outside of the birth of Christ, I think this is the most important information since the flood. Prophet Ephraim Rodriguez was shown in a vision that a large meteor will hit near Puerto Rico and cause a 1,000-foot tsunami there, but it'll be 200 to 400 feet high and go 100 miles inland on the east coast of America. It will also split America from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico, and large chunks of California will fall into the ocean, killing millions of Americans. In a second DVD, I put the whole picture together, quoting 6 other people that also saw a large meteor hit Puerto Rico, 4 for the tsunami hitting the east coast of the United States, 6 the split of America in 2 pieces, 3 large chunks of California falling into the ocean. 3 also saw the reason for this is because America forces Israel to split her land. Get both DVDs valued at $60 for a gift of $30. It's good for the ministry, but you have to have this information. Call 785-266-1112 or go to prophecyclub.com. Get the meteor offer today. Get it today. And now, back to the program. And become the lowest of the heathen nations. Now as Agag, you shall be hacked in pieces. O earth, earth, earth. Hear ye the word of the Lord. Now, you see where it says Queen of Nations? Let me read this. Revelation 18:7 and 8. This is talking about America. How much she has glorified herself, and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow will give her. For she saith in her heart, this is America, I sit as a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Now, why would America say that? Because the pastors are telling their people, you don't have to worry about all that prophecy. because you're going to go in a pre-trib rapture. That's right. Jesus is going to return in the sky and suck you up into the air before any of this trouble starts. Therefore, you will see no sorrow. Therefore, her plagues shall come in one day, death, mourning, and famine. And she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord who judgeth her. Now, let's go back to the prophecy. Then to my horror, the massive sword came smashing down on Lady Liberty. When it hit the top of her head, there was a blinding flash of light, and the sword split her in two, right down the middle. Now, again, that's what Ephraim is telling us that the meteor is going to do, essentially three things: the tsunami, the split down the middle, and the west coast falling in the ocean. Then the sword came again and again against her. It divided her in pieces. As the sword would finish each strike, fires would burst forth. I heard terrible explosions. The vision of the statue ended with an earthquake as it was hacked into pieces and sunk into the harbor. Now, in my imagination, trying to see what would happen to America when a meteor hits and all of this world shakes, it makes sense to me that natural gas pipes would begin to explode, crude oil wells would begin to explode, crude oil that is stored in large tank batteries and also down in all of the gasoline stations would explode. There would be explosions everywhere, just like Maurice was shown. Now let's continue. I was weeping, crying out for God for mercy. Never had I seen the sight of God before. I had only really known the love and goodness of him. Never had I seen the wrath of the Almighty. Then, as if I was watching, from a zoomed-in close-up, the dream shifted, and I started to zoom outward from New York Harbor and traveling across the air over America. What I saw was horror beyond anything I've ever seen. I saw the United States seem to have cracked in two with a giant earthquake, right down the middle. And, of course, on the radio program just yesterday, he said it was right up the Mississippi River Valley, just like what 6 or 7 other people have seen. Back to the dream. I saw the southeastern United States covered with a giant wave of water from the ocean. Well, what is that? That's the tsunami. So now this brings to 9 the people that have seen this happen. I saw a massive earthquake that just seemed to crack off the coast of California. It reminded me of a saltine cracker that just cracked in two. Again, that's the same thing that Ephraim has. And that's the same. If you get the meteor gift offer, I go through and I show you several people that confirm that. Look, brothers and sisters, if you want to have any kind of a life, then you have got to get this meteor gift offer, and you have got to. Let me just say, I'm just going to say it, okay? I'm just going to say it. You got to be a part of the Fast Track team. You got to join me in this fasting and praying that America will not split Israel, at least no time soon, okay? We got to join together on this. All right, back to the prophecy. The great cities along the west coast just fell into the ocean, all the way from Mexico all the way up to Alaska, and giant waves flooded inland until much of the west coast just wasn't there. It had just disappeared into the Pacific Ocean. Guys, that's big, okay? That's big. Now, there have been a lot of people seeing California fall into the ocean, but I don't know as many people that have seen it associated with this meteor, like how Ephraim comes in and tells us, and then get to find out that there's several people that have seen this. So this has been confirmed through a mouth of a whole lot more than just 2 or 3 witnesses. Then I saw 3 giant rocket missiles that took off in the air. 2 came from out of the ocean waters, and 1 came from land and traveled a great distance. All of them blew up in the air, 1, 2, and then 3. In the upper atmosphere, all within about 5 minutes of each other. Now, again, those are the EMP attacks. Those knock out all of the EMP. That knocks out every computer chip. That means every cell phone, every TV, every car made since 1985 will not start. I mean, our world has already been destroyed by just those 3 bombs. Just 3 bombs, and America is sent back into the dark ages. We're sent back to the pre-electricity times, because that turns off our electricity, and it would probably take several years to get the electric grid up and going again. Again, we've got to pray. We've got to pray and get God to delay this thing. Okay, it might still come, but just like if we can delay the Syrian thing and the series of explosions, those suitcase nukes, we prayed that away, brothers. We prayed a delay. We didn't pray it away. We prayed a delay. We got to pray a delay for this. I'm calling people. Go to prophecyclub.com, sign up to become a Fast Track member, and get involved with fasting and praying. We got to stop this, or at least delay it. Then, it was out near space. There were terrible nuclear bombs, but the last one was the biggest, and it created a huge mushroom cloud over the Midwest part of America. Then the ground shook, and everything went black. There wasn't any electric light coming out of any homes. In other words, the EMP has fried all of the computer chips. Then candles began to be lit, and fires, and a little light was seen. There were other nuclear explosions, probably the ones landing up and down the east and west coast. And many people perished throughout the nation. There was just twisted metal and charred debris in the cities that once were tall and majestic. There was widespread looting and gangs roaming about everywhere with guns, stealing whatever food and supplies they could find. Then I saw what looked to be like elite riot police by the thousands go into communities and every city and force the people out of their homes, and they brought them into what looked like concentration camps. Some, but not all, of these police armies had light blue helmets on. Hundreds of thousands of people were arrested in this way. Many that would not cooperate were simply shot and left dead in their homes. But there were millions of hidden groups that escaped the first wave of these terrible disasters. Then revival broke out, and great evangelists and prophets and apostles rose up and began to preach to thousands outdoors, and many were saved and were born again. Miracles of provision, multiplication of food and water, and astonishing healings occurred. Millions of people cried out to God, and He heard and answered their prayers. I knew that this was not just happening in America, but that the Great Tribulation was upon them. And all over the world, these calamities were also taking place. I saw multitudes of tribulation saints refusing to renounce Jesus as Lord. They were starving, many of them, but still refused to take the stamp on their bodies so they could eat and live. There was what looked to be like kiosks, and when I interviewed him, he described these as about 20 by 30-foot buildings that they could just offload off of a semi. They advertised food and water, but only if you went inside them and took the electronic mark. Some went in, some bowed down to the holographic movie image of the Antichrist and were branded in their hands and foreheads with an electronic tattoo-like stamp. And when they came out, if they came out, they had a zombie-like look. Their minds and souls were gone. It looked like they had a spiritual lobotomy. Then these immediately joined the armies of those police units and were given weapons after they were fed and drank and rested in the kiosk. They were like robots doing the Antichrist's bidding. I knew that they were lost forever, but quite a few did not make it out. They were either tortured mentally, physically, inside this kiosk thing. But if they still refused the mark of the beast, there was a laser that shot through their brain and heart and sliced off their heads. And then immediately they were incinerated. Nothing was left but ashes. This was the most horrifying part of it all. It made the Nazi death camps look like a picnic, if that is possible. Millions of people were executed in this way via computer systems that just automatically, with such precision and efficiency that I marveled that something like this was even possible, and that it could take place on such a large scale. The technology was far more advanced than I had ever seen. Then I was back looking at the terrible angel of the Lord, and he said, "Warn everyone, flee from the wrath to come. Repent and turn to Jesus while you still can. Pray that you might escape these things that are shortly to happen, and to stand in the presence of the Lord." Now, that confirms what Luke 21:36 says, "Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that you might be accounted worthy to escape these things and to stand before the Son of Man." Now, a lot of pre-tribbers want to say, Oh, well, it promises us a pre-trib rapture. No, that is saying that if you pray, you may be able to escape such disasters and be supernaturally protected by God. But it doesn't say that there's a rapture. Now for the final two sentences of the prophecy. These things are about to take place. Turn to God and cry out for mercy. Come into the ark of salvation before the doors of grace close and it is too late. Blessings, Maurice Sklar. Again, brothers and sisters, this is real powerful, real important, and it only confirms what Ephraim Rodriguez and all of the other things we've been putting on the Prophecy Club through the years. It's only a confirmation to it. Now is the time to stop sinning and to repent and turn to Jesus with your whole heart so he can save you in the day of trouble. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your gifts of support. God bless.
And whomsoever much is given, of him shall much be required. If God has blessed you, and if this ministry has been a blessing to you, prayerfully consider joining the fight for souls by giving your financial support. We thank you and appreciate your faithfulness.
Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. How can I possibly begin to tell you what you really need to know about the last days? We have so many DVDs at the Prophecy Club, but this particular DVD is a must-have. It's called Revelations for the Midnight Hour by Maurice Sklar, and he covers 10 visions. These aren't just dreams, brothers and sisters, these are visions. And the 10 visions are the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the 6 Babylons, the vision of the mantle of Elijah, the vision of the 10 lamps, the vision of the Victorian mansion, the vision of the wedding supper, the closing of the gates, 3 wars of Israel, preparation of the bride, and the vision of heaven. All 10 of them, one DVD, valued at $30. We're making it available today for a gift of just $15. Call 785-266-1112 or go to prophecyclub.com. 785-266-1112, Visions for the Midnight Hour by Maurice Sklar. You must get these 2 DVDs. Outside of the birth of Christ, I think this is the most important information since the flood. Prophet Ephraim Rodriguez was shown in a vision that a large meteor will hit near Puerto Rico and cause a 1,000-foot tsunami there, but it'll be 200 to 400 feet high and go 100 miles inland on the east coast of America. It will also split America from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico, and large chunks of California will fall into the ocean, killing millions of Americans. In a second DVD, I put the whole picture together, quoting 6 other people that also saw a large meteor hit Puerto Rico, 4 for the tsunami hitting the east coast of the United States, 6 the split of America in 2 pieces, 3 large chunks of California falling into the ocean. 3 also saw the reason for this is because America forces Israel to split her land. Get both DVDs valued at $60 for a gift of $30. It's good for the ministry, but you have to have this information. Call 785-266-1112 or go to prophecyclub.com. Get the meteor offer today. Get it today. I've heard the testimonies of over 35 different people that have died and gone to heaven, but I think Dean Braxton's testimony is the best, simply because he spent the most time there. He spent 1 hour and 45 minutes in heaven. He tells you what Jesus and the Father and the throne looks like, and our new Jerusalem and our mansions, whether it's a pyramid or it's a square. Everything is based on love and is alive. How we communicate, whether we talk or just by thoughts, how we move, do we walk or do we fly, our relationships with our families and others, and our glorified bodies and garments and what they look like. Normally valued at $30, but you can call a Prophecy Club and get it right now for just a gift of $15 or more. That's 785-266-1112. I spent 45 minutes in heaven by Dean Braxton. 785-266-1112 or prophecyclub.com.